Restrictions are lightening up and I am playing D&D in real life again. Unfortunately, I've given away quite a large chunk of my D&D terrain in favor of my newly created Mordheim terrain.
Terrainogram from Archon.
What? Well, let's see what my friends over at Archon Studios have sent me. Hi folks, my name is Leif. Welcome to my channel called Devs and Dice. Today's video is gonna be a bit special. I am unboxing and painting the Abomination Vaults terrain set from Archon Studios. Now, in the interest of being fully transparent, Archon Studios contacted me and asked me if I wanted to check this kit out. It was just very serendipitous that I had given my old foam tiles away. As we can see, we get some nice promo material, but more importantly, some easy instructions. The kit consists of 6 versions of that sprue and a whole bunch of these clips. As I started to cut each and every terrain bit out of the sprues, I can be honest and say that I was starting to get excited. The details were actually quite deep and nice, so I went the extra mile and tried to clean off any sort of ugly markings left by the cutting of the sprues. The good news is that plastic cement worked like a charm with this kit. So all of the tiles, walls, and small bits were cleaned and ready to be primed. At this point, I started thinking about what kind of paint scheme I wanted. Now, the standard way to paint this would have been gone gray. But seriously, what's the fun in that? I decided instead to look at the box art and let this be my guiding light. Let's see if I can come close to a pro-painted result. Now, summer is here, but regardless, I decided to prime all of this using some Vallejo black primer through my airbrush. This way, I know that the coat will be quite thin and I won't obscure any details. Alright, so I analyzed the box art in Photoshop. As you can see here, we have lots of muted green-blue colors in different variations. This is contrasted nicely with a warm cream color. And if we think about it and apply some basic color theory, we can see that the painter went for almost a so-called split complementary color scheme. With that knowledge in the bag, I felt confident to try this and push forward. I started out the painting with one of my absolute favorite colors, dark sea blue from Vallejo. This I quickly dry brushed with some Hydra turquoise, and I'm sort of stippling this on just to get some highlights. Combat Fatigues was a nice sort of, I would call it a brighter green color that I dry brushed all over the different tiles and walls. And as you can see, there's a nice sort of gradation of color. Buff was used to give the edges a little bit more definition, and I came in with some pale sands just to knock that home even further. And as you can see, I don't have a whole lot of paint on my dry brush, but I do go over each and every place quite a few times. Now, to get that dirt and grime, I went with Athonian Camo Shade and some Agrax Earth Shade. As you can see, I diluted it with some water, and I start with the Athonian Camo Shade and then come in with some Agrax Earth Shade. Now once this has dried, I'm gonna come back in with that pale sands, but this time I'm going to do an edge highlighting, but here I'm actually taking precautions and I'm thinning it out so it doesn't have max coverage, just so I have several attempts to achieve the highlight I want. I thought the end result was kinda good, and here is a photo that I actually sent some of my friends. Pretty good, I think. Now it was time to start focusing on the doors. No, not those doors. So far, this terrain set had very well-defined features, but when it came to the doors, they were actually surprisingly flat. Well, the wooden part, at least. I had about 6 doors to paint, and in the interest of being totally candid, I did try to paint one with, you know, itty-bitty wood grains and small wooden knots and... That took too long time. So I started thinking about an alternative. Work smarter, not harder. Now, even though I'm giving these doors a little bit of flack, I have to say that they're actually quite beautiful. But my idea here was to do a good old tested combination of Rhinox hide and Mournfang brown. As you can see, I built this stencil, and I built this out of some cardstock and some plastic that I just cut out into strips and glued sort of a frame around everything. That gave me the basis for what could be perceived as some sort of wood grain. Once that was done, I simply came in and did some additional details. Now, for the actual metal, I knew I wanted gold because it felt just so decadent, and at least in my head, it fit with the whole aberration theme. To darken this down, I'm coming in with some Agrax Earthshade, and while that is drying, I might take care of those manholes. I'm just using some sort of copper paint, and then coming in with some Nihilak Oxide to grime it up. Alrighty, so I was almost done at this point, but I knew that there was one scary moment left. It was the moment where I could go for glory or stay where I am, be safe. Well, I'm not exactly known to be reckless by nature, but on the other hand, I'm not known to back away from a challenge. I am of course referring to the amazing object source lighting as seen on the box art. The first step I take is to shoot some white ink through my airbrush to start defining the actual area of light. I want to thank my patrons, but especially my champion and legend level ones. Andreas Winberg, Battle Corgi V7, Bo Ahlgren, Erik Ortman, Lawrence Davis, Mad Nurse, Magnus Solberg, Rosengraveyard, Tornel for the Win, Volker Göhler, Leander, Marc-Anton Laramie, and Niklas Swedenlind. Thank you. Now the next step is to start coming in with some color, and for the torches I'm going to use some yellow ink, and once that has been defined I'm going to mix in some red ink, which will give us a nice warm orange to flank the yellow at the sides. Crimson Magenta was my poison of choice when it came to these weird tentacle eye things. As you can see, the color itself pops quite vividly. For the squid eyes, I went some violet ink, which I felt like gave a nice contrast. For the squid head on the doors, I went for some turquoise ink. Now, the second area of light will happen for some of these, and to define that, I'm going to start again with some white ink. Once that has dried, I'm going to come in with some yellow inks for the squid eyes to get a nice gradation, some Teneris blue on the squid walls, and then it's just about finishing off some small details like the candles and the center of the eyes. I am really happy about this paint job. In the beginning, I was quite nervous about following the box art, but I think I actually managed to outdo myself, I feel like. I love the different vibrant colors, and it really gives off that nice aberration feel. When it comes to the actual terrain set, I can't really say anything else that I'm very impressed, and I think I might be looking into getting more of these terrain tiles in the future. Now, if you would like to see some more of my videos, YouTube recommends you to watch this. You have a good day, and I will see you in the next video.